Alright, up next, how to change the blinker fluid on your Chevy Volt. You know what, on second thought, we'll let Mike the disgruntled mechanic handle this. How about we do a service on the rear differential on a Honda Element? Let's get to work. Alright, this is what we're working on today, a 2003 Honda Element. And like I said, we're going to be servicing the rear differential. Now in order to do that, we need to get this vehicle up in the air, and it needs to be level. So we're going to have to raise the front end, put it on jack stands, and then raise the rear end, put it on jack stands, so that way the vehicle's level before we do our service. And in order to do this service, we're going to need the correct fluid. This is what these rear differentials take, Honda Dual Pump Fluid 2. Now this is the upgraded part. The original part was just Honda Dual Pump Fluid. There's your part number for that. Hopefully you can read that. Ends in a 7. I believe the original fluid ended in a 2. But Honda upgraded it, so this is the stuff we got to use now. And we'll also have to replace the two washers down there. One's for the fill and one is for the drain. And they're both the same. They're both 20mm washers. There's your part number there on top. And so it's a good idea, obviously, have the washers and have at least 2 jugs of this fluid. Now the specs call for just a little over 1 quart, so unfortunately you got to buy 2 of them to do this job. Now the way these fill bolts are on these differentials, we can't just dump this in, there's no room. So we need something to put it in there. We can either pump it in with my favorite little pump, we can just drop that right in there and just pump it into the differential, or we can use a syringe where we put this in there, extract the fluid, and then push the fluid into the differential. So something like this is what you're going to need in order to do this service. Alright, looking from the front end, our lift point on these elements is going to be this flat spot right here with the hole in it. So I'm going to put the jack right here, and then I'm going to put, after I lift it up of course, I'm going to put a jack stand over there and a jack stand over there, and I'll show you where the reinforced brackets are for those. And looking behind the front wheel on the driver's side, there's our reinforced bracket right there. So this is where the jack stand's going to go on this side, and there's one on the other side also. And looking from the rear of the vehicle, I'm going to lift the vehicle up right here. This is the designated lift point on the back of these vehicles. And so I'm going to put the jack here and lift it up, and I'm going to do the same thing. Right in front of these wheels is another reinforced spot for our jack stands, and I'll put one on each side. So that way I'm going to have 4 jack stands holding this vehicle up nice and level. And before I lift the vehicle up, make sure our parking brake is on so the vehicle doesn't roll. And I'm going to lift the front end first, and what that does is that actually drops the back end down a little bit, and that makes it easier when we put our jack in the back to lift it up. Because if we lift the back first, that lift point up is pretty high up, so you got to have a really tall jack, or then you have to start putting blocks of wood and kind of come up with creative ways to lift the vehicle. I don't want to do that, so we'll lift this side first, and that will bring it down and make it much easier to lift the back end second. And we'll just give it a little nudge, make sure she's on there securely. And you can see where I have the jack back here, and typically I pull this out of the jack, that way we don't destroy it. Otherwise, after lifting like 2 cars, this will be destroyed. And without putting any dents in it, we'll do the same thing. Just give it a little push just to make sure we're securely on those jack stands. We don't want to find out that it's not secure when we're underneath there. Alright, that's what it looks like all up in the air. I am using 6-ton jack stands today to get up a little higher and for strength. And I have them all set at exactly the same position so that this vehicle is nice and level. Alright, now I'm underneath the vehicle. So from our lift point right there, if we just go forward towards the front of the vehicle, we can see there's our bad boy that we need to work on. Here is our drain plug, and then here up above is our fill plug. So we got to pop those out. In order to do that, we're going to need just a standard 3/8 inch ratchet. We just put it right in the hole. We got to make sure it's secure so we don't strip it out, but that's all we need. We don't even need a socket. Now, we need to pop off the fill first, because if we can't get that off, we certainly don't want to drain it. So We got to pop that one off first, make sure it comes loose, and then we can work on this one. And of course, once we start draining it, we're going to need our drain pan, so I have that close by. Alright, I have some 3/8 inch ratchets of varying lengths, and the reason I have those is we don't know how tight those bolts are. But like I said, that's all we need is just the drive end on these 3/8 inch ratchets to get it off. So here's a standard length one. Here's one that's a little bit longer. I think that's about 11 inches and it has a flex head. This one's like 18 inches and it has a flex head also. So we'll just see which one we can use in there. Alright, I'm going to try the 11 inch ratchet with the flex head. I have it securely in there. We want to make sure that thing's pushed all the way in as far as it'll go so we don't strip it out. We'll see if we can break this loose with this. Yeah, it was tight, but we got it. Alright, so that's loose. Now we can do the same thing with this one. See if it's the same. They're kind of tight. You might want a longer one. So now we can take our drain pan, put it underneath, and drain this out. We'll pull this top one off too to allow some air to get in there. We'll just let that drain all the way out. Alright, now while that's draining, we'll just take our bolts, clean them off, and we'll put our new washers on. Now it's hard to tell, but there's one side that's perfectly flat, machined perfectly flat. The other side is slightly curved. The side that's slightly curved, we want it to go away from our differential. So our perfectly flat side is going to be our sealing surface side. So we can take our old washer, clean up the bolt. We'll take our new washer, and here's the rounded side is right here. Flat side is right here. So that flat side will go to the outside. That's where we're going to seal, right against our differential. We'll do the same thing with our fill bolt. Alright, now that we're satisfied most of that fluid's out, we can take our drain bolt with our new washer and just get it started back in place. I usually get it started like that, wipe a little bit, and get it all the way down. Now for right now, we'll just snug it. Come on. We'll have to do our final torque here in a minute. Alright, this is what I'm going to use to put the fluid in, and as a demonstration I'll show you. We're just going to put it in the bottle like this and extract the fluid, and then we'll go up to the differential, and then I'll just demonstrate it pushing it back into this bottle. We'll just push it back like that. That's all I'm going to do. Alright, we'll just take our fluid, put it in the hole, and pump it in. Now we could use that other little pump, but you got to do a lot of pumping doing it that way. This is a little bit easier. Definitely would be easier if we had a lift. We're just going to keep pumping fluid in until it starts running out that fill bolt. Alright, that was the end of our first bottle, so now I'm pulling out of the second bottle, so we should be pretty close. And like I said, as soon as this starts running out the top, we're good. And it looks like we're about good right there. Alright, we'll give it a second to equalize and we'll just verify that we're good to go. Yep, we're full. Alright, now we can go ahead and put our fill bolt back in. And we'll get it snugged up also. Alright, we'll just clean it off a little bit. Alright, now we just got to torque them both down. They're both 35 foot-pounds. So we'll make sure we're in there good and snug. Alright, before we lower the vehicle back down, we can look at it one more time, double check. We know we torqued both of those. We got 2 new washers, our drain pan, and all our tools are removed. Now we can safely lower the vehicle. Now I'm going to lower this vehicle back down just the opposite of the way I lifted it. So I'm going to lower the back end first, and then we'll drop the front end. And even doing that, you still need a decent sized jack. So this is a low profile long reach jack. I really like this jack from Harbor Freight. It works really well, especially for getting up on the back ends of these. You definitely need a taller jack. If it's a shorter jack, it may not work. You may not be able to get it up high enough. And when I pull these out, I grab them from the side and pull them out this way. I don't reach in over the top like that and reach into a crush zone. You could lose fingers that way if that jack fails. And this little syringe I used, it's from, who makes this one? Mighty Vac. There's the model number. Works pretty darn well, and it didn't drip all over the place. You could put this cap on the end, and actually all I did was just put my finger over it, but it didn't leak anywhere else, which is kind of nice. Sometimes they leak all over the place. Now when you use a pump like this or a syringe, when you start getting to the bottom of the bottle, it won't suck every last bit of it out. So you just have to grab the new bottle and then start with a fresh bottle. And then when you're done, you just take the stuff from the first bottle, pour it into your second bottle. Now the specs for this system say that it takes 1.1 quarts, and I took the remainder of that first bottle, dumped it in here, so this is what's left of my second bottle, and you can see it's about right there. Compared to a full brand new unopened one, that's about how much we used out of this second bottle. And you know, a little bit's going to drip out, and a little bit's probably still in my little syringe thing, so a little bit of waste, but not much. And what's nice is these come apart like this, clean up really easy. Ready for the next job. Just keep a little lube on those seals so that they work good. Well, that's it for this service. We'll have to leave the blinker fluid for the disgruntled mechanic. And as always, if the video helped you out or you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.